Are you a
What's up, Peebo fam? How we doing? Thank you for joining today. Keeping the book review moving right along here. So the next one up is The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. So this book, a little context for how I read it and when I first read it, because I've read it a few times, but I was a missionary, an LDS missionary in upstate New York, Rochester, New York. It included Buffalo and Palmyra and that whole area. And the mission's been realigned and everything since then, but my mission president, Walter Plum, was the first one to put me onto this book. And it's a Christian pastor who is the author. But he told me, I was an elder in the church, he said, Elder Pribble, I've read this book 7 times. And he was all about optimism and positivity. And he said, the more of that you can have in your brain floating around, the more likely you are to be positive in your outreach or in your approach. So that always stuck with me. But 3 parts of the book, I always do, that I just pulled and extracted. But this first one's really good. It talks about decluttering your mind, emptying your mind, at least a couple times a day. And this is what he says. A primary method for gaining a mind full of peace is a practice emptying the mind. This will be emphasized in another chapter, but I mention it here to underscore the importance of a frequent mental catharsis. I recommend a mind emptying at least twice a day, more often if necessary. Definitely practice emptying your mind of fears, hates, insecurities, regrets, and guilty feelings. The mere fact that you consciously make this effort to empty your mind tends to give you relief. Haven't you experienced a sense of release when you have been able to pour out to somebody whom you can trust worrisome matters that lay heavily upon the heart? As a pastor, I've often observed how much it means to people to have someone to whom they can truly and in confidence tell everything troubling their minds. So just think about that. Because I haven't practiced that very well in the recent past, but this was a healthy reminder for me, whether it's yoga or it's meditation or whatever it is to declutter, video games or mindless TV, housewives or whatever. It's a good idea. It can lead to more positive thoughts and a more positive existence, right? So here's another one. The importance of freeing your mind of fear cannot be overemphasized. Fear, this one really tailors to fear. Fear something over a long period of time, and there's a real possibility that by fearing, you may actually help bring it to pass. The Bible contains a line which is one of the most terrible statements ever made, terrible in its truth. For the thing which I greatly feared has come upon me. That's in Job 3:25. Of course it will not. For if you fear something continuously, you tend to create conditions in your mind propitious to the development of that which you fear. An atmosphere is encouraged in which it can take root and grow. You tend to draw it to yourself. And then at the bottom of the page he says, surround your mind with healthy thoughts of faith and not fear. And you will produce faith results instead of fear results. So marinate on that. That's another good one. And this last one actually, as I read it, I was thinking about the NFL and how they test, the acuity, the intelligence, the adaptability of a player going from college into the NFL. And they used to have a test called the Wonderlic test, which is somewhat personality, but mostly intellectualization from what it used to be. And there's a new test, I cannot remember the name of it, but it was interesting, I read about it, and it talks about impulse control as part of the calculation or the quotient, the final score. And those that rated, higher in impulse control as opposed to lower in impulse control got drafted generally higher because they're able to control their emotions, right? That's pretty cool. But this talks about anger and how you can control, or at least another way to approach it or frame it or have that perspective in your mind, right? He says, train yourself so that every time you feel the surge of anger, you say, is this really worth what it is doing to me emotionally? I will make a fool of myself. I will lose friends. In order to get the full effect of this technique, practice saying to yourself a few times every day, it is never worth it to get worked up or mad about anything. Also affirm, it isn't worth it to spend $1,000 worth of emotion on a 5-cent irritation. So that's the one for today. Tomorrow, I dove into this one this morning. I should have it done by tomorrow. 500 social media marketing tips. That's a banger too that's coming out. So, what we always do. Subscribe and follow if you want. You guys like the content, you want to see more of it. or if you have comments or likes or whatever you're feeling. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you again.